Welcome to Murder with the Misses. I'm Darren.
And I'm Amy. And today we're going to tell you about Jake Millison.
Don't forget to smash that like button and go and check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and Facebook. Like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to tell your friends. Yep, definitely tell your friends.
Yeah, because if you hear this, that means you chose to listen to us.
Absolutely. And we appreciate you.
100%. Thanks for including us in your day.
Yep.
We don't say that enough, I don't think. We try to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we try to anytime we can because obviously
we really appreciate it.
Without you,
why are we here?
What the fuck are we even doing?
We're just talking to ourselves in a weird room.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, we were just talking about CrimeCon.
We was.
I'm getting all worked up.
Yeah, we literally just started talking about it. I was like, guess where CrimeCon is? She's like, Denver.
And we love Denver.
Yeah. I was like, CrimeCon and our favorite fucking place. Good night.
I know, right? It's like we're being drawn to it.
Yeah. But
we'll see.
Yeah. I doubt if it's going to happen this year, but we'll get there sometime.
One day, y'all.
One of these days, we'll actually get there. But you want to tell them about the Cash App?
Oh, yeah. So we did just start Cash App. So we've been mentioning it on all of our podcasts. In case you don't know, it's cash tag. So the little $ murder WTM. So murder with the misses.
Yep.
That's us.
Yeah. And, we just put that up there because they have Patreon and all this other bullshit out there that
monthly.
It's like monthly subscriptions. And we don't want to force any of our listeners to have to sit there and get badgered all the damn time with, hey, your monthly subscription's due for Murder with the Misses.
Yeah.
Basically, if you want to throw us $1 or $2 here and there, I'll be like a stripper. I don't give a damn.
Whoa.
I mean, $20 is $20. You know what I mean? It's just one of the things.
Away.
But we're not trying to force anybody to pay out anything if you don't want to and everything.
Right.
But if you do, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It does help us with research. It does help us with, not me. It helps Amy with research.
Some of these docs cost money, y'all.
Yeah.
And I like my court docs.
It just helps us push forward and get better information. That way we can get you better information.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, on with the story.
Well, thank you, sir. When you look up Gunnison, Colorado, speaking of Colorado.
Oh, looky here.
But when you look at
Ain't that just a quinky dink? I mean, really.
I'm telling you, the stars are aligning.
Wow.
So Gunnison, Colorado is on the slope of the Rocky Mountains. And when you look it up, you see Indian Head Rock. And that's exactly what it sounds like. Protruding from the side of a rock formation, you clearly see what looks like the profile of a Native American. It's really cool. But this is also the home of Jake Millison. Jake was the son of Deborah and Ray, and he had a sister who's older than him, Stephanie. Deb and Ray did split up when the kids were little, though. Ray's uncle, Rudy Rudabaugh, there's another one of those names like Brad Bradley. Rudy had been a frogman in World War II, and he only had one son who lived in Texas. So Rudy needed help on his ranch. He owned the 7-Eleven Ranch, which consists of about 700 acres. So yeah, I bet he needed some help. He bought the ranch after the war, and it is said to have been great in its heyday. Levi Brand even did a photo shoot there once. These days, it was a little worse for wear. So Deb would go out on the weekends and help him out. But this put a strain on the marriage, and Deb and Ray ended up divorcing. I wonder how her helping his uncle out could be a bad thing. And why wasn't he the one who went out to help at the ranch? But when you hear that Deb took the kids and moved to the ranch after full time, then she married Rudy.
It all comes together.
It all comes together. Sounds like they were coming together. So who knows for how long Deb and Rudy had actually been, seeing each other before they moved out there. That's just speculation on my part. It just looks suspicious. He was 20 years older than Deb. So the kids basically grew up on this ranch. Their dad, Ray, lived in New Mexico. The kids were homeschooled so they could work on the ranch all day. And Deb and Rudy didn't have to hire ranch hands. They branded cattle, took care of horses, fixed farm equipment. On a farm, you have to do it all. When Jake got older, he did go to school in town and he made some friends. Now, these are some of those friends that you need in your life. And you'll see as we go that it was his friends that kept this investigation going. They said that Jake spoke his mind, loved jujitsu, and he was known to think ahead, to plan. Growing up on a farm, he knew how to fix just about anything. Deb's brother, Dana, said that Deb had always been manipulative. She's known to be short-tempered, even as a child. And then when she had Jake and Steph, she would pit them against each other. Like, say Jake knocked over Steph's block tower. Deb would tell Steph, did you see what Jake did to your blocks? Just starting shit, which is the complete opposite of what a parent should do. But she loved doing shit like that just to get the kids to fight. And that meant that they butted heads a lot growing up.
What the hell's wrong with people?
I guess this was her entertainment. It was really weird.
Well, you know, I mean, as our kids got older and everything, you know, they start talking shit and everything. So
that's from us.
Whenever they went back and forth and everything, I was like, ooh, rebuttal. I was like, rebuttal.
You gonna let her talk about your mama like that? But that's different. That was just playing, lightening the mood. She was literally going out of her way to make them fight each other. But Steph went to the carnival once and she met a carny named Dave. Old Dave moved in with her within like 3 to 4 days. And Jake was not a fan of Dave or the relationship. But Steph and Dave got married and Rudy gave them $30,000 to help them buy a house because they were moving to Denver. Now, this apparently caused some confusion. It was the belief of some, including Jake, that this $30,000 was her inheritance, her part of the ranch since she was moving away from it. Jake got no money. Jake did get to stay on the ranch and work it though. So he figured that he would get part of the ranch as his inheritance. Rudy did pass away in 2009, so the ranch then went into Deb's name. Now, Jake was even working odd jobs to help bring money in for the ranch. He did landscaping, worked Deadliest Catch for a summer. He even tossed around the idea of growing marijuana. Now, that's a lot of acreage out there, so he had plenty of space to do it. But he didn't get that chance. Jake wasn't able to keep the ranch going basically by himself. Add to that the fact that he had been telling friends that he didn't like the ranch, the work it took. None of it. After Rudy died, Deb had become a hoarder and seemed to be declining in health mentally and physically. So Jake felt obligated to stay and take care of her. God forbid he actually tried to throw out an old couch or something. She forbid it. He had tried talking her into selling the ranch. He even talked to the neighboring ranch and they expressed an interest in buying it for $1 million. Now it was worth around $3 million, but at the rate it was going downhill and all the work that it needed, he felt like $1 million was a good bet.
I bet Deb didn't like that.
Absolutely not. She saw that as Jake trying to sell it out from under her and making deals behind her back. And she was already not happy with what little work Jake was able to get done on the ranch, by himself. His friends say that she would throw a fit if he asked for a little bit of money for the work he was doing just to go out and have dinner with his friends. So she thought it would be a great idea for Steph and Dave to move back to town. So they did in 2012 with their 1-year-old son. Steph wanted him to grow up in a country atmosphere, but they didn't live on the ranch. They lived close by and just helped out. Steph was apparently a hard worker, and Deb was critical of everything that Jake did. Steph was in Deb's ear to kick Jake off the ranch, and Jake was convinced that $30,000 that she had got wasn't enough, so they were actually coming back to weasel their way in to get more. But he lived there. He worked there. Jake and Dave got into it a lot. At one point, Jake even filed for an order of protection against Dave, but would drop it a couple of days later. In 2014, Steph posted on mom.com, "My youngest brother is trying to ruin my life. How can I make my mom see that it is unhealthy for him to be there controlling her and her property like he owns it?" From all accounts, Jake believed this was his inheritance. He was the only one working the land at this time.
It sounds like he was catching shit from everyone around him.
Yeah, at home, yeah. He was getting it from his mom, Dave, everybody. Ugh. He even told a friend that if anything ever happened to him, it was his brother-in-law, Dave, that did it. And it's always sad to hear that in these cases because they know something is wrong and that the other person is capable of hurting them, and then bam, shit happens. Like when he said that, and then a week later, on Friday, May 15th of 2015, he went to the movies with his friends and then out to Alamo Bar. He didn't drink or do drugs, so just like all the times they went out, the strongest drink he had was Coca-Cola. He made plans to meet up with some friends the next day and he went home. The next day, he didn't show up for those plans. The friends went out to the ranch and say Jake's truck and his beloved 70s model Harley and his dog were still there. But no Jake. Deb told them that he went to Reno to work and be in a martial arts event, saying that if he worked to help them when needed, that they would train him for free. Now, even though Jake's dad said that this does sound like something Jake would do, his friends were skeptical. They hoped that he had just finally got out of the situation he was in. He wanted to leave, so maybe he finally got out. But it still doesn't make sense that he wouldn't tell them. So they kept looking for him, asking about him. They talked to Deb about him not answering his phone, and she told them that before he left, he had dropped his phone in a ditch and it got wet, so he had put it in some rice. But when he left for Nevada, he forgot it, so he didn't get it out of the rice and take it with him.
And these people really think that other people believe these stories like this?
Apparently. He put it in rice and then just moved out of state. Forgot to get
weird.
it.
Oh, he put it over in that there rice.
Yeah.
You know, get all the moisture out of it
Yeah.
and everything. But, you know, he went to Nevada,
Mm-hmm.
you know, doing that martial art, you know, the little karate thing.
Karate.
You know, kick. Kick.
Kick.
Yeah. Went over there and he forgot his phone. So
Yeah.
he's going to be out of touch for a little while.
Seems legit, right?
Jackasses.
The friends went back out to the ranch a couple of days later and he still wasn't there. So they went to the police. And the police talked to Deb, who tells them that Jake went to Nevada with a friend. She had told the friends that he went alone. So here we go with these ever-changing stories. In June, the friends made the Where is Jake Millison Facebook page. Finally, in August, with no word from Jake, a missing persons report was formally filed by Deb. She now told police that Jake was originally going to take his Harley, but ended up riding with someone else, so he left it there at the ranch. But he did take all of her groceries because he packed enough for him and his friend. She said she last heard from him on May 20th, and even though it was a secret, she knew that he was on drugs. We've already said that his friends said he didn't drink or do drugs, so they're not buying that either. Throw in the fact that pictures pop up of Dave riding on Jake's Harley when they knew it would be a cold day in hell before Jake let him ride it. Dave and Steph moved out to the farm and into the lodge where Jake lived. They had been selling off Jake's stuff. Some friends drove by the ranch and saw a couple of people across from it burning a mattress in the burn pile. So police go to the ranch and they go into the lodge. And they have pictures of the first story of the house showing shit piled up everywhere, the hoarding kind of piles. But upstairs in the bedroom, it was super clean and had a new mattress and box spring. Steph and Dave had moved on in.
Of course they did. They know Jake's not coming back.
They know he ain't coming back. Now, how would they know that? In April of 2016, Steph and Dave are working hard to try to turn the ranch around. So they have their friend Jeremy come out to be kind of a ranch hand to help. Some report that they didn't pay him. They just allowed him to park his trailer and live there in exchange for the help he was giving them. Jeremy says that Dave got him a pistol and told him to keep it on hand in case Jake came back. They had Jeremy believing that Jake was a big bad dude. He said that they were having dinner one night and talking about what a shitty person Jake was when Jeremy said, "What if your mom killed him and buried him in the backyard?" He said Steph stopped laughing and went cold. So Jeremy said that's the last time he talked about Jake.
He was like, he figured us out.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, shit.
Oh, my God, they already know.
Yeah, abort. Over a year later, in May of 2017, Jeremy saw Steph and Dave looking at the manure pile. So he went over to see what was going on. He saw what looked like a rib cage with about 2 inches of the top of some jeans. Steph yelled for Dave to cover it back up, saying it was probably a bear that Jake had killed illegally. Well, unless it's Smokey Bear, there shouldn't have been jeans on it. He said Steph looked at him and said, "You know you can't leave now, right?"
Yeah, it's Smokey Bear, not Smokey the Bear.
The bear. There's no the.
Yeah. Let me guess. He didn't tell anybody about it.
Nope.
Well, doesn't that just fucking figure?
He said he knew that it had to be Jake. He was later told that the body had been moved, and he didn't tell anybody because he was scared, in shock, and wanted nothing to do with it. Ironically enough, next to the ranch one day, they had a cadaver dog festival. I can't make this shit up.
Oh, my God.
Yes. What are the odds? Talk about the stars aligning. Now, they said that the dogs kept trying to get over to the 7-Eleven ranch. So they've got all these cadaver dogs that won't leave that ranch alone. Red flag. Red flag.
That's fucking funny.
Red flag. Yeah. Yes. This is like written in a movie.
I wonder if they was like, if they did this on purpose.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
This was an investigation.
It's like, we want to host a cadaver dog festival, or what they call it, a festival?
A cadaver dog festival.
Yeah, and the ranch next to him was like, come on over here.
I bet they knocked on his door and was like, hey, can we use your ranch?
Either that or the farm next door was like suspicious of his leaving thing because, he was talking to him about buying.
About selling it,
and everything. And then all of a sudden he's gone.
Yeah.
So maybe they was like, hey,
come on over. Bring all your dogs.
Let's set this up. Yeah. Oh man, that'd been so fucking smart.
Yes.
Good night.
Yes. And you never know. Now, I don't know if this scared Deb or what, but she ended up going to the police and confessing to killing Jake. She was scared of those dogs. She said that Steph had told her that the only way Jake was leaving the ranch was in a body bag. So she had to ask herself if she wanted to live the rest of her life like this. And when the answer was no, she shot him in the head with her .357 while he was asleep and buried him in the backyard, saying she had woke up before with him standing over her with a pillow in his hands and a blank look on his face. So she was scared for her life. But Deb had gallbladder surgery the week before this. Also, she had stage 4 breast cancer, so she was terminally ill. Her doctor said she wouldn't have been able to hold a gun. She was 5 foot tall and less than 100 pounds. How she, in her state and at her size, would be able to get a 6 foot tall, 170-pound Jake down the stairs and out to the manure pile to bury him? Could it happen? The doctor who did the gallbladder surgery said that at her post-op a week after Jake's death, she showed no signs that she had done anything physical like that.
How does she explain that?
She says she knows that
I already know that it was the other guy, but
Well.
But, how does she explain that? That's what I'm,
So she admits, yes, I do know that I wasn't allowed to lift anything or I would tear my stitches. So she said she got him wrapped up and rolled him onto the floor.
So she got on her hands and knees and rolled him onto the floor.
Rolled him on the floor.
Rolled him through the house.
She wrapped ropes around him so that she could pull him head first. And
okay.
Yep. And then she got him to the point where she could reach the straps in from the backhoe bucket and attach them to him. And then she used the backhoe to do all the work.
Does she not realize how many muscles you use just to roll?
Lots of muscles.
Or pull?
All the muscles.
It's just,
duh.
Come on.
I know. But they tested the gun and only Deb's DNA was on it. Well, I'm sure this is how many years later? But they didn't believe that she buried him on her own. Just
that's what I'm saying. I don't doubt that she shot him.
Yeah, that's one thing.
She probably did. She shot him.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't bury him.
She didn't do all that, yeah.
No, I'm sure the other two had something to do with that.
Yep. And like we talked about in one of our other recent cases, they did not arrest her right away. They let her go. They did go and dig up Jake's body. And they also talked to Steph and Dave. So I think it was the Shaver case that we just did where they dig up the body out of the yard and then still don't arrest them just yet.
Yeah, in the fucking backyard underneath the damn, what was it?
His was the fire pit.
Yeah,
this one was the manure pile.
Yeah, fire pit. At least that guy got, put underneath something that you can somewhat enjoy.
That's what makes it worse. Yeah. Actually, I don't know if it's worse because they buried him under a pile of shit.
That's what I'm saying. He got buried underneath cow shit.
Yeah, he did.
Or whatever they're farming out there.
Oh, cows, horses, they've got it all.
Oh, yeah. So it's all types of stuff.
All the shit.
All the shits.
Now, in the video of the interview with Dave, he tells them that he and Jake were pretty good friends. Okay.
Says the fucking protective order.
Exactly. He also tells them that Deb and Steph treated him like a slave on the ranch. They took a lie detector test saying he didn't kill him and he didn't help dispose of his body. He did tell them that Deb had told them that she killed Jake and buried him. And when they asked him who he thought really killed Jake, he said, I don't know. I don't know. That's one thing that scares the shit out of me. Because if it's the woman I've been sleeping with every night, that fucking terrifies me.
Yeah, don't piss her off or you could be next.
No lie. when you see what somebody's capable of.
And that would make sense that it was the mom that shot her and the daughter that buried her. That would make so much sense because the mom was always pitting them against each other.
They didn't get along their entire lives because of that.
So that would make sense. She would have more to gain from it. So.
Yep. Now, Steph told police that her and Jake did not talk. Even though they saw each other at the ranch, they didn't communicate. And they hadn't really talked in a long time because of him and Dave arguing all the time. Steph also said the same thing as Dave. She didn't shoot him. She didn't move the body, saying that she was in Denver on the 16th when Jake disappeared. She actually took 2 polygraph tests and failed them both. In their investigation, they found out that Deb's will left the 7-Eleven ranch to Jake and to Rudy's other son. But 3 weeks before Jake's death, Deb changed that to where everything went to Steph. Deb's brother Dana said that's the kind of person she was. She changed things based on who she was mad at the time. And she said she knew that Steph would share the ranch, but Jake wouldn't. So she changed the will, and that pissed Jake off. The night of the murder, Steph's phone got a text saying, "It's time to play." And this was after 3 a.m. It was deleted 6 minutes later. She would later post on Facebook, "Have you ever been awoken with such awesome news? You wanted to run outside screaming?" And then 2 days later, she posted, "Big things are happening for the Jackson family this year." Her phone records also showed that she was not in Denver when Jake disappeared. She was in Gunnison. So when they let everyone go home and no one was arrested, they decided to use old Jeremy the ranch hand as an informant. And one night in February of 2018, Steph accuses Dave and a friend of doing something shady, and she threatens to kill him. Now, Jeremy and the police thought that she might make good on that, so they went ahead and arrested them all 2 days later.
He was probably relieved to get arrested. He's like, "Oh, thank God.
She can't kill him if he's in jail."
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming to get me. I was so scared. I almost died.
These crazy women. Yes. Now, while the wide belief is that Deb took all the blame for everything because she was dying, others believe that Deb did what she wanted when she wanted, so she couldn't have been manipulated by Steph. Steph would take a plea deal for tampering with a deceased body with aggravated circumstances, and she was given 24 years. She said that her mom lied about Jake mistreating her for 2 years. She apologized to her family. And she is set for release in 2041, but she does have parole hearings before then, as they do. Dave also took a plea deal for tampering with a deceased body. The judge asked him if he repeatedly misrepresented his knowledge about the disappearance, and he said, "Yes, sir." He was sentenced to 10 years and was reportedly released in May of 2023. Deb also took a plea deal for second-degree murder and was sentenced to 40 years. Dana said she was transferred to Denver after sentencing, and he applied to be able to visit her. They said it would take about 3 months to process the paperwork. She died before that could be processed.
Well, at least they got them all.
They got them all. And Deb passed away like immediately after sentencing.
Yeah. But now, so did the other boy get the form?
The only one left to get it, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, he ended up with it. Did he sell it?
Well, yeah. I was going to say.
He sold it?
It's gone, yeah.
Yeah. Well, good for him. I mean, I wouldn't want to keep that after. I mean, there's certain circumstances. So it's like inherited land and everything. It's a family thing or whatever, you know.
Right.
But, man, when it's tainted like that,
yeah,
it's more of a curse than anything.
It really is.
You know what I mean? It's just, that's one of them deals where you're like, do I keep it or do I just take the money and start over?
Start over somewhere
and
else.
Then,
which he didn't really have a lot to do with it anyways because he lived in Texas.
Yeah. So he probably had his own land and had his own thing going on anyway. So I guess the 7-Eleven ranch was more of a resort.
Yeah. It was like they had cabins, RV tents. You could do horseback riding, fishing. You could like go stay for the weekend.
I imagine they did some farming.
Oh, yeah.
On the side too.
Yeah. Because they had cattle and stuff.
I mean, because they have to have some kind of income besides that.
Yeah. So I didn't look up who owns it now, but I did see that it had been sold. I'm hoping that's the case.
Yeah.
At least something came from it. They don't have to deal with it anymore. And I don't know. It's just it's a bad ordeal.
Yeah. But, well, that's the end of this one. Glad you guys stopped in to listen. And if you guys do want to, contribute to the pod, $, Murder WTM. That's our Cash App. So thanks for listening. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell your friends as always. Till next time.
Bye.